All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Lee Velez. I am here with James, Heck, and Gabe. That's right, folks. Change. In this episode, the crew talks about their experience with change. We cover topics that range from new jobs, new homes, change of heart, painful changes, new mindsets, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Leo Tolstoy and Nelson Mandela. All right, if you are new, thank you for joining us. Guys, don't forget to download, subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. We kick things off with a definition from dictionary.com, and we define the word change. They define it as to make the form, nature, content, future course, etc. of something different from what it is or from what it would be if left alone. To transform or convert, to become different. The act or fact of changing. Fact of being changed. All right, cool. So to kick things off, I wanted to grab a pretty cool article I saw, 5 Steps to Embrace Change. But before we get that, I want to ask my son, James. James, where do we live? We live on
Earth.
Yes, good job. And where's the moon?
Up there.
Up there, exactly. And has the Earth changed at all?
No.
No, it stayed the same? Wow, okay. So what do you know about change?
Change, if it gets really old, it changes to black bricks.
Wow, the Earth or us?
No, the Earth moon does not. Not the white moon. Not the white moon. Only the white moon stays together. If this Earth moon, if its crackles, we can still live here.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's changing. Yes.
Well, if cars get their paint off, it's still okay when they're still cars.
So the moral of what you're trying to say is, yeah, it is okay. That's a good observation. I appreciate that one. So James, do you want your own show? Your own podcast?
But when my own podcast comes, I'm going to need some couple friends from school.
Gotcha. All right, so that sounds like a plan. We can at least start with just you, right? All right, cool. All right, buddy, say bye.
Bye.
All right, so this cool article, 5 Steps to Embrace Change by simplelifestrategies.com. All right, so they say, number 1, start by altering the way you view change. Remember that everything is constantly changing each and every day and that nothing ever stays the same. Good point. Number 2, instead of clinging on to old habits, make a concerted effort to proactively create new changes for yourself. These don't have to be big life-changing things. Start with small steps like making a small change in your diet or in your attitude. Make sense? All right, number 3. Next time you feel a bit out of place, check in to see if it's because you are experiencing uncertainty about something. Often we are not even aware that uncertainty is the root cause of unsettling feelings. If uncertainty is the culprit, reframe your situation by trying to see the positives, such as how change is exciting. Number 4, commit to personal growth. By embracing change, we start to learn much more about who we are and how we operate. Self-awareness leads to a more meaningful and happier life, so by noticing the way you deal with change, you can start to understand what you need to do differently to live a more fulfilling, successful life. Okay, and the last one, accept change. Resist the urge to fight it, and you'll be surprised how much easier life can be when you let go and work with change instead of against it. Go with the flow, live each day as it comes, and enjoy the ride. Not so sure about the last one. I don't 100% agree. I don't disagree. I guess one thing that drives me crazy is when they say, go with the flow, leave each day as it comes. I feel like we are directors in life as well.
Sure.
It's not just what life throws us, it's also our approach.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So if I just wake up with no aimlessly walk around like, you know what I mean, with nothing, no target or anything.
No goal for the day or anything.
I don't think that's what they're saying, but I also don't want that to get interpreted as to that's what they're saying.
Right.
So yeah. So know that life is obviously going to throw you curveballs, is going to jab you in the face. I think that's what they're saying. Kind of go with the flow and keep it moving, kind of thing.
But you can kind of steer it in a particular direction for the most part.
Exactly. Yeah, I think. I just think that it's an important point to make. So I just wanted to make it kind of clear because I get in conversations a lot of times with all kinds of people that have a different worldview and obviously, their approach on life. And one of the common themes that comes out of personal development is the act of how things are manifested in one's life. And the law of attraction and how it actually works, there's a lot of confusion. And that's one of them, allowing life to just happen kind of thing, where that is misinterpreted. Just as is... money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
People took out the love of money is the root of all evil. It's kind of one of those things. It's not what it's saying is not wrong. It's not the whole story. Yeah. Exactly. So yes, we manifest stuff, a man is as he, as a man thinketh, so is he, that kind of thing. But there's other aspects. That's a very blanket statement.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to make that point. But I like all these points. Start by altering the way you view change.
Sure.
I think that is one of the most important things and the hardest, because a lot of us, I think it's natural to resist.
Yeah, because
change.
No, absolutely, because you're comfortable with how things are currently are, and so of course, like anything that, even minorly that alters that, it throws you off, and kind of like you get uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's literally in our DNA.
Sure.
We're built to, your body's just doing what it's built to do. I guess the issue becomes when you have no control over some things that, it's just your body naturally doing it's supposed to protect itself. And that's a form of protection, resisting change. Because you don't know what's going to come around that corner with that change. Even if it's little, there's still some kind of pushback.
Sure.
Right. I remember going, like, even when I applied to Temple, like coming out of high school and going into orientation, whatever it was, like 2 or 3 days that we were doing.
Yeah.
I did not want to go at all. I knew when that moment came, that was the end of my, quote, childhood, really.
Okay, yeah.
Because it was like high school. Even though I worked at the time.
Letting it go.
I was working and all that stuff, and, but I just knew. I was like, all right, this is like, I know when I go into this orientation, it's on me now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the performance, the real show is on me. In my own little life, not on a grand stage.
Sure.
The stage of my own little life. That's what I was resisting. I didn't want to go. I remember just like, man, what if I don't go? Do I have to go?
Yeah.
Like, can I just like skip this part? Like,
yeah.
I remember trying to come up with all these excuses as to why I didn't have to go. There's that's just whatever you want to say, like that's just the beginning of it all.
Because I think everybody, even since I commuted there, we're required to stay over like those 2 or 3 days, whatever it was. So that was still like a little bit of taste of like kind of like what living on campus kind of is. So it kind of gave you a little bit of idea of like how drastic it can be different. Oh man,
and the other thing was, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm no longer under mommy and daddy's roof. To a certain extent, yeah, you are, and it's still life in this, as we always joke, it's life in a bubble. Sure, really, going to college anyway. You do get to experience real life things, but it's a very, secluded thing,
sure,
and it's a for the most part a protected environment. But anyway, you learned a lot of things, and I knew from there, I was going to have to, quote, grow up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just totally resisted it. It was such a normal thing for me to like. I knew I was going to do this, just putting it off. But you know, experts say this all the time. If you leave it up to your mind, you can be your own worst enemy in that you can talk yourself out of things that you know are good for you, but you're okay with talking yourself out of it because of the comfort that it brings because you're now avoiding change.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with the fear of the change.
Exactly.
The fear of the unknown or whatever quote unquote consequences that comes along with that.
Right. I mean, how many of us talked ourselves out of going to the gym?
Sure.
That's a perfect example.
Because half the time you have to talk yourself into going
I'm
to
still
the gym.
tired. I'm just gonna be more tired.
Yeah. I'll start tomorrow. I can't. I won't be able to get through my day. It's too early to
I didn't go to the store to get salad, so I can't. I'm not gonna start the
diet's not gonna
diet.
be
So
right.
it's
Yeah.
then I'm
Wait
not gonna
till
go to
my
the gym.
diet's
So
right
you know
now.
what? Let me start Saturday. I'll go grocery store Saturday. So now you already pushed off a whole week, and now you push it for another week.
Yeah.
Because then you didn't get the meal prep bowls, the right ones.
Yeah,
And
you didn't get
all
enough
this other
water.
stuff. You didn't buy protein yet. Anyway, so there's a lot. That's a good example because I'm gonna say 99% of people have experienced that. Whether you're an athlete, whether you're fit, whether you're not fit, it doesn't matter. You're a human being at the end of the day, and it is so easy to let yourself get to yourself from facing discomfort, but look at the reward.
Sure.
People always say, unless outside of injury, you won't regret a workout.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because usually it makes you feel better too.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, all those.
I mean, there was a couple times where I got up. I'm like, I really don't feel like going. I'm dragging my feet, and then when I get home from it, I'm like, dude, I'm glad I went. Like, I actually feel good about myself. I'm like hyped. I'm like pumped, ready to go shower and get ready for work and stuff. So kind of sets up the day, depending on when you're going. I know because when I was going, it was early in the morning, and I was like, it set off my day like in a good note, and I just felt good about everything.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to the article saying, the way you view change. If we view change, going back to the obvious, example with going to the gym. If you view it and like, dude, I'm going to be happier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feel better about myself after this workout, and not necessarily dread it. If you're dreading it, it's because you're viewing it through the wrong lens.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so this here is telling you change the way you view change, or alter the way you view change. So if I view it as, dude, I know I'm gonna feel better, this is gonna be awesome, and I'm telling myself I'm looking at it in a different way, totally different than, oh gosh, you're gonna be hurting. Oh gosh, you are.
Yeah.
But when you ask any weight trainer or somebody who's like really into it, they almost enjoy the pain because it's an indication that they actually worked out that muscle or that muscle group or whatever.
Right.
So it's almost like, yes, that's good. That's good. Again, outside of injury, I'm talking about. So it's fantastic. It's a great tip because it's one that people always say, oh, embrace change. And that sounds good. And yes, you should. But if I like this because it's starting with you.
Yeah.
Because you have to change the way you see it. That's life at its bare minimum.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of clinging to old habits, make concerted effort to proactively create new changes. Yeah, I mean, that one's pretty straightforward, right? Next time you feel out of place, check to see if someone is because you experience uncertainty about something. I guess this goes back. The uncertainty is the fear of the unknown kind of thing.
Right.
You're not sure what to expect, right? And there's something that should be said about control. And the reason why I say that is because even in my own thought processes, I get worried or not so motivated to move towards something if there's a level of uncertainty that is derived from me not having complete control. Like, there's certain matters that I can't control. For example, like if I planned a party outside,
Oh yeah.
which creates an uncertainty because of weather in my mind, I can't control the weather, so I just keep making all these thoughts up in my head and become anxious and overwhelmed in my own thoughts of something I literally just made up.
Yeah.
Yeah. and you still have no idea what's really going to happen.
Right.
Because it could or
because
couldn't.
there's something there with
There's an uncontrollable variable.
the
that you-
unknown.
Right.
Right. And it'll drive you crazy if you just keep on dwelling on something you can't control. Right. So it's such a weird thing. But if you break it down into a very silly example as the weather,
Sure.
because that's a very factual thing. You really don't have control over
No,
the
it
weather,
couldn't.
right?
Right.
But here's the
Absolutely.
confusion. There's some things in life think we can control things that we cannot control.
Yeah.
That's where the craziness starts coming in. You know what I mean? It's tough.
I've seen grown people get angry with change that they couldn't control. They were working in this department for over 30 years. Now all of a sudden they have to go to another department because they're working for that agency. So they're like angry and they have no control over it. So they just keep saying they just keep bad mouthing everything and everyone. And instead of just going with the
Total
change.
resistance.
Right. They don't want it. But the thing is, they've been comfortable there for 30 years. So it's like
Right.
You want to just keep doing the same
they
thing.
want to keep doing the same thing until they retire. But guess what? You have to go do this. And then I heard a couple of people were actually angry about it. But when they got there, they enjoyed
Sure.
working. They enjoyed the change and doing something. I mean, it's still the same job per se, but working with different people and different location.
Different
And
environment.
even the drive to work, they said it was actually enjoyable because
yeah.
it was the same stale drive back and
That
forth,
you've done
for 30
multiple
years.
Exactly.
And then so I've seen how like some people can make the positive out of the change or make complete chaos out
Or
of it and
just
just
kind of resent the change.
resent the change. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like the people who kind of go with it and find a benefit out of it, I don't think it's an anger thing. I think it's literally it's going to be different. They know it's going to be different, and you don't
Just
want
don't want-
different.
yeah.
You don't want the different.
Right. Yeah.
But when a different comes, they're embracing it on some level because they're enjoying it.
Yes.
That's how you know that they're embracing
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
There's still people out of pure stubbornness that would just be mad, even though it's a better situation for them
Yeah,
because it's changed.
because that
they'll
changed,
just be
like-
mad because it's still not the same.
Because they were forced out of their
Yes.
Out of their
current
comfort, yeah.
situation.
That's different. That's a big difference.
That's ridiculous. Though.
Because I think the first group of people, that's more of a natural thing. There are your optimists and people who love change, or they're looking forward
to change, yeah.
something like not all change, just that specific change.
Right.
Like, yeah, we need to shake things up,
Yeah.
kind of thing. I mean, for 30 years,
Sure.
yeah, you need to change something up,
yeah,
dude.
exactly.
We don't. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with change, especially with the era that we live in now. That's an old school way of thinking, right?
Right.
You kind of, you do the whole thing. Go to school for so many years,
Yeah.
have a career for 40, and it's just like that is almost non-existent
No.
at this point.
No, absolutely.
Right? And just looking back 20 years ago, that was still a normal thing.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
still people still in that, can still be caught up just depending on the company and the business that they're part of.
Yeah.
So it's okay. I'm not saying, but it's not the norm either.
Sure.
Where now it's like, your career path can take multiple turns and people don't find that odd anymore.
No,
Yeah.
it's pretty
No,
normal.
It's normal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And to piggyback on, I know I use this example a lot, but technology.
Absolutely.
It's such
Yeah.
working out and embracing that and technology is they're such easy examples, and it just easily makes sense of stuff, which I think breathes life into embracing the change. If you get this level of, if you can just comprehend that little bit, you can, I guess, appreciate the more complex, I guess, situations. Technology 5 years ago, a year ago, totally different, literally changed the way we live our everyday life.
Absolutely.
The way I operate today is totally different than the way I operate 5 years ago, literally based just on technology.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before, another dry example, getting where you're getting your information from has now turned in from the television set, the radio, and newspapers, like physical newspapers,
Oh, yeah.
to literally just one little mobile device.
Yeah.
You get your weather. You don't need the TV at this point.
Yeah.
Right? You can watch shows on this thing. You get your news on this thing. You get, not only that, you get filtered news on this little thing.
Yeah.
Where before you got to finger through all this stuff, you got to wait, you got to watch a 30-minute show just to get to the weather, just to wait for this. There's no more waiting. It's right there. The world is literally at your fingertips. And the most, I think, impressive part is the filtered aspect of it all.
Yeah.
That's the future, getting the granularity of things, right? Like even just a basic thing with like stocks, okay? Or yeah, whatever, just stocks. Depending on, what kind of stocks or, the industry that you want to be in. I don't have to just go to a website and like just wait till, all the tickers are flying by and all these like green and red arrows pointing up and pointing down. You don't have to wait for that. Literally, I could just go to my segregated industry, bink, and it'll just pull up all that stuff. Yeah. That fast, the information is given to me that fast. I don't have to wait for the next day for something to get printed on a piece of paper.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if you're not embracing that, you're losing out. If you're waiting to make investments based off of information that is delayed in today's age, you're getting smoked.
Yeah, you're
because dudes aren't waiting around for the newspaper the next day to make their investments. Because you have influencers out there. Yeah, you have people who are telling you what look at this stock, check this out. Yeah. Look, their earnings report says X, Y, and Z. They could just make that up, and people will buy the stock. Into it. Yep. One of the Kardashians or one of the Jenners, Kylie Jenner, made a comment on Twitter about Snapchat. The stock tanked that day.
Yeah.
Literally, the stock itself tanked.
The Snapchat stock?
Yeah, Snapchat because of what she said. I think it was something like along those lines.
Like
she influenced
$1 billion.
She had an influence over like that?
Yes, to that level. And they interviewed her, and she said it was very innocently done. She was people were complaining about what they changed something.
They made an update to it and they changed something about it, and then she's like, "Oh, I don't like this update." And then
it was
something nonchalant like
very
that.
innocent. I guess is the word that comes up. She wasn't saying it to tank a company. She was just saying everybody was saying the same thing though. It was a
weird update, and she just because she has that many followers, they like okay, and
that level of
like whatever's worth $1 billion some dollars.
Holy smokes, that's
right?
crazy.
And that's a social media thing that affected big business.
Yeah.
Big time investments. Big time. You know what I mean? Like listen, if you're not embracing it, I'm telling you, you're just gonna get smoked. And I'm not even talking about investment. This is just everyday life. Getting information, getting the right information. The thing is, remember I talked about filtering. The thing is filtering the right information.
Sure. That's
where we're at. Because there's a lot of information, but there's a lot of bogus, trash information out there. And we're being inundated just by information. I think at this level, we should all understand that, there's a lot of information out there. Yep. Yes, it can be totally overwhelming. That is the reason why I say the focus now is filters and granularity of information, of the right information.
Sure, because
that's where we're at.
Because the other part of that too is that you got to be aware is that you're going to find information that
the internet said it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So let's combine the last two, 4 and 5. Commit to personal growth and accept change. Because we talked about accept change or whatever, but just that accept change and then put it up with commit to personal growth. By embracing change, I think we could talk about both. Accepting the change is kind of what we're talking about with the industry that you're in and people moving on to another building because the expansion shifted in a different way and changed what they knew as their everyday life to something totally different, right? That's someone who didn't accept change, who was basically resisting that. And you got to be careful, too, because just because something's new and it doesn't mean that it's better.
Sure.
So you got to be careful what you're accepting. Right?
Yeah.
So here you go again you have to be able to analyze and decipher what's good change, what's bad change. Because there's industries, there's companies, there's families that make a change. And it's not good. It's not a good change for the family, for the company, the business, whatever you have going on. So you have to be able to, it's not just embrace change and take. That's why I was very careful with this. I talked about this one first because you're not just taking whatever life's throwing at you. That's not that's where the misconception comes. You have to be careful. You have to be dodging bullets. Yes, you have to go with the punches. Yeah, but you also got to be making your moves.
Right.
You
Get
can't
yourself
be
out of
always
it.
on the defense.
Sure.
You have to all then produce and, you know, become offensive.
Kind of do your due diligence of
Right.
the situation, sort of.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yes, there's the personal development part is having the maturity of accepting the change. That is one thing. But then also you have to be able to also have the maturity to decipher between what's good and bad for the most part. Sometimes
Sure.
we don't know if it's going to be, you know, we enter into things, okay, like a business arrangement, right? Say you want to partner with somebody.
Yeah.
Everything in the beginning, quote, is good. And, you know, the business arrangements and the partnership sounds good until
Yeah.
you actually get into the thing. And it's a change. It's a big change because now you're doing business with somebody. Now you're splitting the decisions. Now you're, you know, making choices with somebody else that went straight to, you know, the bat cave, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it's tough because that's where you kind of roll with the punches. That's where you got to make the mature decision, say, all right, this needs to stop, or we need to either change the direction of where we're going because this is not working.
Because when it starts affecting multiple people is when you have to seriously understand what the situation is.
Right. And then that's when you can also get in trouble if you, quote, oh, accept the change and just go with the punches because now you're chasing your money. Now you're free. You're literally going, you know, first class, one-way ticket to hell with that kind of mentality.
Or, you're affecting somebody else's livelihood at the same time.
Exactly.
While you're just, you know, who cares about my own situation? Just rolling with the punches. But,
Yeah. So, I mean, altogether, you know, this 5 Steps to Embrace Change by simplelifestrategy.com. Excellent points. Excellent article. You know, thank you. So I'll ask the crew. I ask you guys. How do you view change? And do you embrace it?
Well, kind of going along with the first one was like, it's inevitable. It's like, it says,
Right.
you know, nothing ever stays the same. So it's like if you don't embrace it in some regard, whether, you know, you're proactive against it or, you know, like you're going with the flow, it's going to happen no matter what. Like we said before, it's going to happen to you or it's going to, you know, leave you behind, whatever.
Yeah. I think so. And I think there's something to be said with the, you know, the most cliche examples that we gave. There's something about being better, becoming better. And as I always say, becoming the best version of yourself, which, yes, I got that from Matthew Kelly, the book Dream Manager. But to become the best version of yourself, you have to know that to become better, you're going to have to change, right? Like, if I want to I cannot become a millionaire with the mindset that I have right now. Because if I had the millionaire mindset, I would be a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire. So for me to say, like, I know how to make $1 million will be a false statement, being that I'm not a millionaire. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I can't get to a location with being the same person that I am now. I have to then change my thoughts, change the way I think, look at things differently, embrace change, and kind of move through the mud in a specific way. And, you know, as Wallace D. Waddles says in The Science of Getting Rich, thinking in a certain way. It's not, have you ever seen, like, somebody who has a crazy amount of money and you're just looking at them, you're like, dude, I know if this guy can do it, I can do it. You ever, like, think, sometimes, like, think about it as, like, not even with money, they just accomplish something so big and you're like, wow, I know I'm, like, it almost builds you your confidence, and then you're like, but how?
Off of them,
You're like, how? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We pollute our own minds with those crazy thoughts of, you know, excuses or whatever it is. Oh, I can't do this because I have kids. Oh, I can't do this because I'm, you know, I'm not really overweight. Or I can't do it, it's too early. I don't have my meals prepped. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
It's those little things when they're just thinking in a certain way. They're thinking differently, the way, as opposed to the way you're thinking. And so they're attaining different results. You cannot get the same result. You cannot get different results with the same level of thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's also, I guess, not also like the fear of like failure and stuff. It's, I guess, the fear of like actually succeeding and dealing with the good parts of that too. Like you're not showing like what
the good consequences.
Yeah,
right. Because there's repercussions of also making the right decisions. Because
might
the
get
old,
more
the old saying,
opportunities on
yeah,
top of
because
that.
there's a responsibility that
Sure.
comes with
Exactly.
that now.
That's the yeah.
Now it's like, oh, and now I can't mess up now. Now there's more expected of me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now I can't mess up, okay? And it's like this, you're there without even being there.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you there? Like, how are you there, right, about messing things up when you didn't even get to
Yeah.
where you need to be? You know what I'm
You haven't
saying?
been given the
This
opportunity
is
to
the
get there, yeah.
possibilities of the,
Sure.
but then this beautiful creation of our own minds is what, gave us the light bulb. What gave it, those same crazy
Absolutely.
thoughts are also, that is those sparks of genius at the same time can go the other way. There's always, there's the yin and the yang kind of thing. Like, yeah, as good as our thoughts can get, they can be, it's also as dark and bad.
Yeah, absolutely,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? They're also, as much as they're creating, they're destroying. And it's finding that, in between, with everything. And I think that the secret to life really just overall is finding a balance with everything.
Which is
living the balance, right?
That is the yin and the yang.
Right,
essentially.
exactly.
Literally.
It's a little bit of everything,
You can't have one without the other.
Right, exactly. And just, the whole thing, the whole cliche statements, you guys all know that stuff.
Sure.
But going back to, embracing the change, have you ever been changed unexpectedly? Like, there was one time I was watching, I know this is going to sound super funny. I was watching a movie and I just thought it was like a Christian version of like The Little Giants.
Okay.
And in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, this is so cheesy. Like, it was killing me, actually. I'm like, oh, gosh. Bad acting, just like, and I'm just like, I am not, like, this is,
feeling
I'm
it.
not inspired.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? And then there's this crazy scene. Like, there's a scene where they were practicing and the coach was talking about the upcoming game. And the leader of the organization was basically saying, we have no shot.
Okay.
And the coach called him out and had him do this, this exercise or this drill, whatever they say, where it's basically you're on all fours, but not your knees. You're on your 2 feet and your 2 hands, and it's like this crawl. I forget what the hell crawl or something
Yeah,
crazy
I
they
think
call
so.
it,
Yeah.
because it's really hard to do. But not only that, he then blindfolded the kid with a handkerchief or
Yeah.
whatever, and then put a kid on top of him, and then had him crawl through the field or whatever, and the kid's like wanting to give up. He's saying that it burns and it does all this, and finally the kid drops. Oh, he wants to stop. I'm sorry, he stops. And the coach is like, don't give up now, don't give up now. Da, da, da. And he's just digging him. And finally the kid just stops. The other kid on top of him kind of like falls off. And he's like, take off your blindfold, look where you're at. Da, da, da. He's like, I gotta be at the 50. And at the end, he's in the end zone. He went 100 yards with like a 130-pound man on his back. And did it. And the whole moral of the story was like, they're looking at you. If they see you crumbling in the face of a giant,
Yeah.
and literally,
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called, Facing the Giants or something like that. The movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. If they see you doing that, that's what they're going to do. You're the leader.
Or I guess the other point is you don't realize how much you put the resistance on yourself to accomplish more or to change.
Yes.
But you don't realize how much you can actually accomplish if you just like kind of put the quote unquote put the blinders on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just thinking about that. Like,
Yeah.
you can actually make it further without the thought process of it. Like, you're just going, not realizing where you're actually at. And you're like, you turn around, you look back, you're like, wow, I just did all that.
I went this
Or
far.
I went this far
Yeah.
with it without even realizing it and thinking, that I couldn't do it, and I surpassed what I thought.
Because that's
Yeah.
the self-doubt, the self-talk.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's telling you that you can only go this far,
Right.
as opposed to just letting it
Let your inner body
letting
actually
it
do it.
kind of happen. I mean, not obviously it's more focused on that. But
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that was something where I got changed unexpectedly because, like I said, it was just terrible. In my mind,
like,
it was a terrible movie, but out of nowhere, this scene
But it
comes
was
up,
like,
and I was
yeah.
just like, dude, I think about that all the time. Same thing with a couple books that I've read, especially The Power by Rhonda Byrne. That was like The Secret came out, and that was my mind started shifting. I definitely had a paradigm shift, and that's when the personal development industries, got introduced to me and all that. But then when she came out with the Power, another paradigm shift happened in my mind, because it was more of like, I know this is real. Then with The Secret, I knew it was something I can change, and life can be totally different, and I'm the creator. But at the same time, I was just like, I don't know if I deserve that kind of life. And then the Power came on and said, there's enough for everybody. You are deserving. You're supposed to live in a certain way. And it was like, whoa. So I knew, from one book to another or whatever. But the Power was, a book that basically changed the way I thought in a specific way. And that goes back to the theory of knowledge is power.
Sure.
But as I always say, it's like applied knowledge is power. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys got to change unexpectedly. I have.
Not to, going off of that, like, not to that extent. Like, I mean, I can't think of anything like as dramatic as that. Like,
but we'll watch that scene after we're done recording. It was pretty cool. All right, so what was the biggest change you ever overcame?
Like, the biggest things, like, I remember, like, I guess, like, growing up, whatever, is like, obviously my parents separated, so it was like, obviously you lived in a single household, all of a sudden now you live in, or like, visiting time and all that stuff, and it's like, it's dramatic in terms of like, I'm a 10-year-old child, not fully understanding, the situation and all that stuff too, but then like, you kind of have to deal with it. That's how, outside of your circle, because it's dealing with, people beyond.
Wow, that's a great point too. With being a parent or being someone that's in control of something, just the effects that your decisions and what you do in life have on your kids, right?
Yep.
I mean, like he just said, I had no control over that. You know what I mean? It was something that was for the better of them, but without even like knowing or necessarily even wanting to. They probably knew. It was like, oh wow, this is going to change things, but it's still going to have an effect regardless. No matter how many times you talk to your kid, and
because even like stuff like older, because my sister's like 2.5 years older. It was like later on seeing like the bigger changes of like my dad remarrying and stuff like that too. It was like the effect of her, like I took it as I guess I dealt with it younger, so it like kind of different. But the effects of her, how she dealt with it when he told us he was getting married, and she her emotional response to all that stuff too was like dramatically different than how I dealt with it at the moment.
Sure.
So it was
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough, like because we're talking about like the fun, more on the fun end of or not even fun, but the lighthearted parts. But then you get to like a like a situation like that. It's like on obviously a much deeper level, much heavier situation to handle. And it's just like, wow, change. You know what I mean? Exactly. They start saying change in a different tone,
and that goes to the uncontrollable. Like that's their decision. Like they have to do that for the betterment of everybody.
Right.
Yeah, the biggest change for me was becoming a homeowner.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of responsibility on that. Like, I definitely said to myself, I'm like, yeah, dude, can you do this?
Yeah.
Do you think you could do this? Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going to change. Like, you can't just go out and buy clothes, go buy sneakers and this and that. And it's crazy because, like, the less I thought about it, the easier it became because it was just a natural reaction to it of just being normal, paying a mortgage and just like doing the normal routine stuff and forgetting that the stuff that you used to do. So it's like it was just like a big change on changing my lifestyle, I guess to say.
Sure.
But obviously, I got over it and you just keep on going. And I mean, you can't look back at it.
That new change becomes the new normal. So it doesn't become anything like that. Yeah, like old is gone now. Whatever.
It's gone. And it is what it is.
Yeah, I think my biggest change for sure was becoming a father, and it was one of my favorite change, just because it's bizarre in a way, it's cool as anything in a way. Yeah. There's so much change that comes with that I grew to obviously appreciate it, but. Going back to the same thing, like you embrace it. Yeah. There's this level of excitement every single day because you know it's going to be an adventure with a kid, regardless whether, even if the most like, boring person, I guess, it's still going to be interesting with a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're definitely going to keep you on your toes. And the change, it's different. Like for me, there was never like a good or bad. I felt like I've always lived like an awesome life in my head, you know? So to me, it wasn't like, it didn't get any, you know, it was just different. And I made it, in my mind, I just made that now awesome in my head. You know what I'm saying? Or made my life, you know, as fun or cool with the change, with the new change. And obviously this change was another person, which makes it even cooler. Because now you're seeing how your effect on a little person, on their little mind, and see how they operate on, you know, the way your thought process is. Yeah. And you see like a little you and the little them.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's freaking so cool. But anyway, so you know, do you believe people can change?
If they want to, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they put their mind to it, I mean,
they can do it.
They can do it. Saved by the bell.
Come on, you can change.
Come on, you can change. Yeah, I think if they really like, they're willing to do it and they want to do it for themselves, then yeah, absolutely they could change.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree. But it is one of those things. It has to come from a deep desire, in that person. There's what they say, like a warrior in us all, whatever. You know, a Ferrari that's there somewhere within you. That you might just be driving in first gear and not even realizing there's like 6 other gears here and you can go 280 miles per hour, but you're just cruising at 25. You know what I mean? That's not to say you can't shift up. You know what I mean? So anybody can take the next shift. And that goes back to, literally, it's a perfect example when I say paradigm shifts. It like literally take another notch up, you know, go to 3rd gear, 4th gear, whatever. And now you're using the car for what it's made for, right? Yeah. And if you could think of that as like the human, are we in the next gear or are we going towards the next gear that we all have within us and not being stuck in reverse or in neutral, a whole lot of gas, going nowhere, right? Always moving forward is kind of like that thought process. So I believe everyone has the ability to change.
Sure.
Not everybody changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So that is where my thought process comes. I know how strong, or I know to the extent of my own knowledge and my experience, I know how crazy big things a human can do and the changes that they can make because we're all built like that. So I believe in you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I believe in you because I know it's possible because I've changed myself just in my little world life. So I know if I can do it in the back of my mind, you can do it. So people say, well, how can you put belief into someone? And I say, you got to look at yourself. If you appreciate your own self and your own abilities, you have to know that that person also can do that. You know what I'm saying? So when I say, Leo, I believe in you, I do. I genuinely do because I know it's possible. But it's not for me to make the change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's for you to believe in you.
Absolutely.
I can help you. You know, I will help you get there and build the belief. But it doesn't matter how much you hype someone up, how much you inspire someone. It's like, how much pain can that person basically take? And it's until they change, is what it is. And pain is not necessarily in a negative thing. It's just, pain could just be procrastination. That's painful if you're not making that move. You know what I'm saying? And you're putting something off. Yeah. That's a level. That's a form of pain. Yeah. That you're enduring. So it's like how much, there's like an old story. I don't know where I even heard it from, but there was this guy who would walk past his porch every day, and there was a dog, just like kind of like howling, and the guy says, it's a metaphor for, like someone complaining or whatever. He passed by, he's like, whatever, just laying on the porch. And just like, what the heck's wrong with this dog? So he walks by. So he says hi to the neighbor. Next day, the kid sitting on his porch with his dog, and the dog, same thing, like almost in a painful way. So the third day, the guy passed by and he's like, you know, can I ask you something about your dog? And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, what's wrong with the dog? Like, what? It sounds like it's in, you know, it's howling, but it's not a good howl. It almost looks like it has like tears coming out of his face. He's like, oh, he's sitting on a nail, but it's not painful enough for him to get up and move. So how many nails are we sitting on that we're complaining about, but we're not doing anything about it, right? Yeah. So that's an old story that I heard years ago, and it always is like, all right, Jim, like, you want something different? It must not hurt that bad because you're still doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so now you have to apply the why. Why am I doing this? Like, what's going to actually get me excited? And, you know, we talked about earlier about how to just get up and go without your mind playing tricks on you, without your mind basically convincing you to not get up and go. There's a book by Mel Robbins titled The 5-Second Rule, and I'm sure a bunch of people have heard of this. But basically the concept is saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Don't even think about it. Just go. She's actually even changed the way I see alarms, because there's all these studies shown that you should only set one alarm. A lot of people set 5 of them, right?
What do you mean, like a wake-up alarm?
Yeah, in the morning. So
I'm laughing because I actually literally have
5 alarms. 5:30, 5:45, 6 o'clock, 6:15. You just whatever, right?
That's not including snooze.
No snooze. No. No snooze. Snooze is your enemy. Multiple alarms are your enemy. Snooze is your enemy. And this is the reason why. You hear your alarm, right? It goes off, and you hit snooze, or you put, you hit it off, and because you have the next one in line or whatever. How much better do you feel as soon as the next one goes off? You don't. It's impossible. Yeah. If anything, actually, you're more tired. And studies show it takes your body, once your mind and you're actually awake, even with this simple alarm, it takes your body an hour and like 20 minutes to then get back into actually sleeping. So you're actually now doing a negative effect to yourself. So now you're making yourself more tired because you're forcing something on your body. It's causing a stress that when you hit that snooze or whatever, you're all banged up when you get up. You're foggy, cloudy, thinking, and just whatever. And when you would just get up and go, you're actually, no matter how painful it's going to feel, you're better off at that moment. Yeah. So set your alarm for the last one. Well, what's the last time I can get up? Then just set it for the last one then. Don't set up 15 different things. You're not getting up to getting up. You're actually it's a negative effect on you. And there's all these studies that prove it. And then so you add that thought, knowing that's real backed science, right? And don't quote me on the actual time. Back that up with the 5-second rule and not allow yourself for the excuse. So your alarm goes off. Your snooze is your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, like a rocket. Like literally, this is where she got the concept from. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Go is an action word. That's why it's a trigger, right? It's going to make you move. You don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no action word after that. 6 is after that, right? So you count down, right? Go, up. So if you have that when you wake up tomorrow and you hit that one alarm, knowing you're doing a bunch of negative to yourself, you're going to start. So you already started off on the wrong foot with the 5 alarms. Yeah. You're already in a bad direction. Don't stub your toe. Don't spill coffee now. Don't go the wrong way. Don't get rear-ended because you're already on that. You're already on that messed
negative
up.
Mindset. Yeah.
So boom, it's just going to layer. So if you just get up, don't set your alarm for 6:15 if you have another one at 6:50. Yeah. Right? Just set it for 6:50.
6:50. Get up then.
That's the last time you go. You're not giving yourself an excuse. This is the last one I have to get up. Yeah. Right? Then you do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Just get up and go. Brush your teeth or whatever your first thing you do in the morning. Just do it. Why are we hit the snooze button in life so many times, and it allows us to have that thought process. Forget waking up. Think about that thought process in life. How many snooze buttons or how many alarms do we set? Next Monday, I'm going to start. Next Tuesday, I'm going to, apply for that job. Friggin' tomorrow, I'm going to then start eating good. We hit the snooze button in life just in general all the time.
Yeah, without realizing.
Physically sleeping, though, it literally has a negative effect. And if it has a negative effect on you, then, okay, so is this not the truth then?
Yeah.
In regular life. There's so many basic things that I think us as human beings, we mess up in our own mind just because for some reason we like some level of complexity. We like making things crazier than what they really are. It's very basic, right? What do you think, how much water does the earth consist of? Earth.
You mean like percentage water?
Yes.
Isn't it like 70% water?
The human body, how much water is in the human body?
About the same.
Okay. What are we doing? Right? Have you ever seen the water studies by Dr. I don't know, some crazy last name? There's water studies
Yeah.
that they freeze water and they watch what water does on the most like literally under microscopes. If you talk positive words to water, like water coming out of a faucet, like you put it in a little petri dish, you label it love, then you put water in a petri dish and label it hate. And they have this video thing shooting like a camera underneath it and watch what the little molecules do. The little molecules of hate are all kind of like distorted looking. And you know what like a snowflake really looks like? All like perfectly like all these
like pretty.
The love one literally of water has all these perfect like little. So if you're talking about on the most granular level, we're made of 70% of that, what kind of words are we inflicting on ourselves? And just think about if 70% of what you're made of is water, and you have that easy of effect on how we're not only labeling ourselves, but the labels we're putting on our loved ones, our friends, our coworkers, the stuff that we're saying, the negative stuff that we're saying, that's entering into their system and now changing, you literally altering what they are inside. But you can do the same thing with a positive word. Again, I'll show all these videos. I'll show you like videos and links of the stuff that people, see. So the belief. Okay, so believing in someone again, as little as labeling water in a petri dish, labeling it love. Can that same water that came from the same water then change the one that you just labeled hate? Right. So I can believe in you because okay, that's the Ferrari. It's in you, right? It's in your DNA. You can change. It's proven right there. And to come up with the snooze buttons or the extra alarms in life, not like the actual ones, think about all that, right? All that stuff. So change is sometimes, I guess, what I'm trying to say, we make it bigger than what it is.
Sure.
And what they said is make a little change, like even if it's something like in your diet or just something a little, it's just a little one. What happens is, this is the barrier that we do, right? With working out. Oh, but if I work out, then I got to take a shower. Then I got to get up earlier. You came up with all this stuff. You made the wall. You just created this wall.
Yeah.
Because your why is not big enough. But you say, yeah, but I'm going to feel better. Yeah, but so now you're talking differently.
Sure.
I'm going to look and feel good, right?
And the other end too, like the more like going back to the snooze thing, the longer you keep putting it off, the worse you feel about yourself.
Yeah,
That's when
snooze.
Then it goes back into the
Procrastination.
Yeah.
These are all the same things.
And then some people they think of change right away, and they think it's got to be a big change.
Yeah.
So it's something big.
Right.
So then that's when they put the negative into it. It's like, damn, that's too big for
Or-
me. I can't do that. So try starting out small.
exactly
Work your way up.
exactly that has to all happen at once, not
Yeah,
over time.
gradually. I mean, okay, so you want to build a house. You can't build a house just by slapping the wood together. Obviously, there's steps. There's different ways of getting there, and starts little by little. So that's how people should see the change or take the change.
Yeah.
Not just all jump on it in one shot.
We see the goal as opposed to everything that takes
Right.
to get to the goal.
Exactly. All right, one last question. If you could change one thing in your life right now, what would it be and why? If the power and whatever it takes to make this change, you have it. What would that one change be? There's nothing impossible.
See, I was thinking about this before too, and I was like, I was trying to think of like, I don't know, I was trying to think of something grand scale or something.
Yeah, that's why I keep
Right?
having something huge.
Something big.
And maybe that's what I'm like hung up on. Is like I'm thinking of something like it has to be like massive, but it's like it can be something as something like just like basic.
All right. So we'll end the show, the episode, with a story in the Bible there's a king by the name of Solomon. It's very basic. I'm not getting into an actual.
Yeah.
It's super basic. Solomon, everyone knows, was one of the richest. The richest. I mean, he had gold everything, solid gold buildings, and so basically the guy had the world, right? The material world.
Yeah.
And what he asked for from God every day was understanding. If I can just get understanding, more understanding, just in general, can you not be more empathetic? Can you not be more can you not have more business savvy? Right? Because your understanding is how things work. If I can understand how you operate, then I can connect with you on a different level. If I can understand how the stock market works, then I can make money. If I can understand the needs of my spouse or my children, right, or the people around me, if I could just understand, if I can understand the pain that someone's living in a third world country, if I could just understand, you're that much wealthier because now you're not only lifting yourself up, you're lifting them up to another level of appreciation. And in the understanding comes being humble. So now you're not the show off that you thought would come with such crazy, quote, understanding or knowledge, right? So I'm not saying that, that's a cheeseball thing to say, because it kind of is, but it still always stuck with me.
Yeah.
One of my most ignorant things that came in my mind was like, all the money in the world! And everyone thought
But
it.
that's everyone's go-to. Oh, give me all the money in the world. That's what they want change. So that they don't have to worry about anything.
They think.
Right.
But that first thought, that's a false thought, so they don't have to worry about everything. That's literally the reason why you probably shouldn't, because life, there's people, I'm not saying myself, but there's people with a lot of money and they came from a lot of nothing, right? And then they made it. And they always say, I want to stay here where I'm at. I've been rich and I've been poor. Being rich is better. But when I was poor, I must say that life was much more simpler. Right. It was very basic. But then you have other people saying, you're not doing it right. And saying, no, because you can also be rich or have wealth.
And be basic.
Live a simple life. So it's not necessary. It can, though. It can get very complicated because you see it in the music industry all the time. People are like, oh, man, the second I had money, I had all my family members and friends all, gimme. One of the most famous hip hop lines, more money, more problems, right? Because now you get into weird things that you never thought you would get into. No one's going to come to you for money if you're just a broke dude. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Sure.
Right? Maybe your kids or whatever. But look, a lot of people are not going to come to you for money. Now you have to start deciphering. I remember like Rick Ross put his like mom and sister, instead of like in the beginning, he's like, well, you kind of like, you don't know any better, right? Like you're operating really out of ignorance because I was making money, but not this kind of money.
Right.
Right. And it's what everybody wants, right? That level of, being a millionaire, blah, blah, blah. It's not the money. It's what the money can do. Right. So he then was just giving everybody money. Well, then he came up with, okay, there's a really fast way to go broke. We all know famous athletes that did that, basically blew all their money or gave it all away and have nothing to show for it. So instead of just giving them money, the money that they need to, to buy the food and have, the roof over their head, have them work for me and operate one of my businesses or multiple businesses for me so that they feel that they're earning it. Yeah, I'm probably going to give them a better salary than everyone else on my payroll. But now you're not just in the, it's not a negative thing. Like if this business fails, that's it. So basically Rick Ross, like, I don't know how perfect, but let's just pretend this is exactly how it went down. He basically purchased a Wingstop, one for his mom, one for his sister, made them like the head manager, GMs, whatever of them. Obviously,
kind of like an investment type thing.
Yeah, so he invested in them. Money for me. Obviously, he's getting, a kickback from all that. but they're the head honcho of those Wingstops. So they feel empowered to like, and
Right.
they care about it because it's on them now.
Yeah.
Right. They don't want it to fail. They want to show him that they can keep this.
Right. So he gives all these examples of doing that though with friends and family. So now it's like, I'm not giving them money now. You're working for it. You're working for me, but you're working for your own money.
Yeah.
But you're empowered now. Don't ask me for money now because I gave you an opportunity. Right. So it's understanding. Will we do that? Would I do that? I don't know. I might now because if I ever get to that level, because I heard that story.
Right.
But if you keep asking for stories like that level of understanding, how can you not be rich? That is what Solomon was. It's like that level. And I'm talking on a stupid, crazy, shallow level here.
Sure.
It gets deeper on multiple levels, of course, outside of money.
Yeah.
But that comes with spirituality, your education, all kinds of stuff. Right? And that's how you become, the dynamic guy or man that you desire to be. Because our society places so much on money that we think that solely is all we have to do. But how many people do you know who are terrible dads and terrible fathers with all the money in the world?
Sure.
Right.
Do you respect that? So what is it that you respect? Do you respect the person that they are, or do you just respect the fact that they're earners? They're an ATM. So it's like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the balanced person who's a good dad? Then you know people who are like really good dads and really good, whatever, but they're broke, right? Or then you know someone who's super spiritual, super like crazy spiritual and very in tune, but can't find a job, at home is not what they're saying it is,
Yep.
at the,
It's unbalanced.
yeah, there's an imbalance somewhere. So it's like, how do I become, there it goes, finding the balance in between all these little segments in life. And there's a book right there I have under the Bible, the Warrior book. Yeah, man, I mean, I recommend
Ultimate
that.
Warrior.
I recommend that. I'm not sure that's for everybody because that course and all that, it's going to challenge you. So that's not for everybody, but
That's not a starter book.
that's definitely not a starter book. But you never know. Somebody might need that, crash course kind of thing. He's like, oh boy.
Wake up.
Yeah, wake up, warrior. But anyway, so with that being said, let's wrap this episode up with a quote by Leo Tolstoy. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. And the last one by Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. All right, so there you have it, folks. Change. In this episode, the crew talks about their experiences with change. We cover topics that range from new jobs, new homes, change of heart, painful changes, new mindsets, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Leo Tolstoy and Nelson Mandela. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyLeeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyLeeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.